It is time to talk some Hall of Fame, and to do so, we bring in our next guest, and that's Jeff Bollig, the chairman of the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame, with a big announcement came out earlier this spring about the three ceremonies that will be taking place this summer, honoring 32 individuals getting inducted into the 2026 class. Last time we had you on, Jeff, we talked about the July 18th ceremony that'll be at Legends Field in Kansas City with more of that baseball flavor. The one coming up the week after that on July 25th will be near Wichita at the Kansas Star Casino. And man, just going through those names, and like anytime that when you guys release the classes, it's always exciting. But just some big hitters on that list.
Well, there are, and I'm excited about it because it brings in personalities from all over, young and old alike. We have some cousins going in: the Evans, D'Angelo, Maurice, obviously very stars at collegiate, and everybody said you have to have D'Angelo in. He set the career rushing record in high school, and that makes sense. And he set the TD record as well. And then this year, the TD record is broken. But obviously, D'Angelo had a good career at Nebraska, MVP of the championship game in the Big 12, and then Maurice, obviously talented, played basketball at Wichita State in Texas, and a number of years in the pros. So it'll be great to have them. It's just a good mixture. If I can go down the list a little bit, Bob Baratti ran track at Kansas State and Wichita North. His claim is the 2-mile relay team at Kansas State set a world record. He kind of followed Jim Ryan those footsteps. So many great distance runners came out of Wichita. Then of course Greg Brummett, MVP of the '89 World Series. And it's interesting about Greg. He played a year with the Giants out in San Francisco. We talked last time about the Kansas baseball legends going in, Diego Segui being one of those. Diego was actually Greg's pitching coach, so wow. It came full circle. Steve Crosby. Steve, a great running back at Fort Hays State, honorable mention All-American, played 3 years with the Giants but got hurt, and then went into a long career, 33 years in the pros, coaching for Hall of Famers like Shula, Schottenheimer, and then Bill Belichick. So really just an all-around great athlete. He was voted the top 8-man player of his class in high school at Pawnee Rock High School, which no longer exists.
Right.
Judy Dyer. Judy's a great story from Topeka, first female scholarship track athlete at Texas Southern University, NAIA champion, Olympian, still very active in Houston, and I look forward to seeing her. CJ Hamilton, you can't say much more about being the winningest coach in Kansas high school football history from Silver Lake. CJ's done it all. He probably deserved to be in much earlier, but he kept on coaching, so he'll be good. Mike Kennedy, how about that? The voice of the Shockers. Actually was in Chanute in Pittsburgh, did Central States, that the rivalries of Pittsburgh and Washburn and Emporia and Fort Hays, and Mike's most deserving. Nathan Leeper, of course, Nathan, high jumper out of Kansas State in protection, won an NCAA championship, and Nathan obviously was tremendous. Ricky Ross, some believe the best basketball player to come out of Wichita. He'll be joining us. He obviously played at KU and then played at Tulsa. So that's a good group right there. We have some posthumous people being inducted who've passed, and from that Wichita area, Nino Samuel coming down from Salina. Obviously, Nino led the state in scoring and rebounding, played at KU and Marymount. Just a force, undersized but tough as a center. And Dick Metz from Arc City, a PGA Tour golfer, very accomplished in the early century. And then Everett Shelton. Everett was from Cunningham, Kansas, and a longtime coach in high school in Kansas. Went to Phillips University, coached there, and then went on to Wyoming, where he won the NCAA title as a basketball coach. He's in the Naismith Hall of Fame. And one of his players he coached was Kenny Sailors. Kenny created the jump shot, and Kenny was in Kansas City not too long ago to be inducted to the College Basketball Hall of Fame. And another one of his players was Kurt Gowdy, the famous broadcaster on NBC Sports. So Wichita will be a great class. It starts mid-morning and we'll get you out just after a lunch, so you won't waste all your day. I guarantee if you come, you'll have a great time. I'll put a plug in for Bob Lutz, former Eagle and radio broadcaster in Wichita. He does our interviewing. We don't do speeches anymore. It takes a lot of pressure off the award winner, but it's a great laid back session where we just have great stories, and Bob does such a good job. So I'm excited for that group in Wichita because it's every sport, young and old, all backgrounds, people coming from Houston, local Wichita. It'll just be a great event.
You talk about, just that day in general and like your experience, with the Kansas Hall of Fame and what it's like. I mean, just having, like all these Hall of Fame, type careers, all in one room. Like, what is that day like for you?
Well, personally, I swell with pride. I'm a native Kansan. I've lived here my whole life. I think the people of Kansas are the greatest asset the state has. But the one thing that strikes me is, number one, the gratitude these individuals have for the people who got them to where they were. And I think that's really a message, is that nobody succeeds on their own. There are people there helping them along the way. Sometimes you don't even know it. And I think the gratitude is most important, number one. And number two is the quality of the individuals that are achieving these awards. You don't succeed without having high character and a work ethic. And that's what these people had. And, they're successful, as athletes in high school and college and some pros, but even afterwards, they continue that. So I guess this thing that really strikes me is, as I said, you're in that room with, 350 people, and just the amazing camaraderie, all that they have together. I remember a couple of years ago, Billy Mills kind of kicked it off for us, the 10,000 meter champ from Kansas, at the 64 Olympics, and he's talking with Eric Kennard, the high jumper, the gold medalist from Kansas State, and they couldn't be more different in age. Eric was young still, and Billy's in his mid 80s, and the conversations they were having were awesome. And I just think it shows, and obviously Eric came from Toledo, Ohio, and Billy was from South Dakota, but went to school downhill. But the diversity of the people in the state, yet the shared experiences. So it's really a great event. I encourage people to come. You'll not be disappointed.
Then you'll have a chance to get an autograph from Jeff Bollig, right?
Well, if that's a goal, that should be the lowest on the list.
Hey, Jeff, appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, Cole. Thank you.
That is the chairman of the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame, Jeff Bollig. Don't forget about those 3 separate ceremonies coming up this summer: July 18th at Legends Field in Kansas City, then July 25th at the Kansas Star Casino near Wichita, and then August 16th about Sporting Park in KCK. We'll talk about that ceremony the next time we bring in a Jeff.